All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. Uh, I'm not used to holding a mic in my hand, and because I talk with my hands, so I'm going to try my best. Uh, my name is again. Hang on, I lost the mic here, or the mic lost me. Okay. Okay. All right. Here's the clicker. I got my both hands busy now. National signs, I'm going to tell you a story here. So PowerPoints are just backdrop of the story. As you can see, I'm like a jack of all trades. Certainly not a master of either one of those. But again, that helps me kind of talk to people that are masters and think I'm a smart guy that way. So jump into national signs, why we did this and how we found Interneer and what benefit they brought to the organization was our CEO, he came up to me one day and was like, you know what, Hussein, we need to put these computer screens on each department on the plant floor and let's have that Excel sheet that we have put on each of those stations, and when every department does what they do, they said, you know what, I've completed this, and it updates the Excel sheet so everyone can see that has been done and changed. And I was like, okay, all right. And I knew that wasn't going to work. And I probably told him that too as well, that it's not going to work, but I'd probably nicer tone. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I got to find a solution that works and still kind of meets the demand of what he's talking about. And so that's when I started looking at business process management tools. There was a partner in Houston at the time, SideTalk, that we kind of engaged with on another project, but they had a relationship with Interneer. So their relationship with Interneer, and I did some Google searches, and Interneer came up. So it was like, okay, let's go both talk to from both different channels, and it worked out in a way where they put out a demo for us within a matter of a week, and after that demo meeting, within 2 hours, we were able to make a decision. Okay, this is what we're doing. I mean, in fact, after we put the phone down with Interneer, we were, okay, Hussein, this is it. Now go implement it. And so that's how it all came together. And the goal was to really communicate. Communicate what's going on in our environment. So the goal was never to have this really cool system that has all these bells and whistles. The bottom line was, if our guys on the floor don't know when this sign is going to be installed, how will they ever make the decisions that they have to through the process of delivering, okay, you know what, I need to be done with this today so that the next guy can be done with his part, and so this sign can be installed the next week. And so having that information in front of them was the biggest thing out of this whole process. Interneer certainly came in and delivered what they had promised. We were able to develop our application within 4 weeks time period with the partner, and then the way we approached it was we were going to do this in phases. So the first phase was really to understand how our people work, and just kind of replicate that same subset and mindset into an application, which is in an automated way, not only not trying to teach them how to do their job, but just learning from them what they do, and then kind of logging that information. So when we're ready to say, you know what, we're going to automate this whole process, and one day, we press a button and the sign is going to be produced at the other end of the plant floor. How are we going to get there? We need a lot of information for that to happen. And so we started gathering information and learning from those people. And so let me tell you what happened before, and then when we implemented Interneer, what happened after that. So our production manager would literally, when we got a job to construct a sign, he would come in 3:34 in the morning and took out a piece of paper and wrote down, the router department is going to be doing this job today, and then the second department is the channel letter department is going to be working on this particular job today, and then so forth, so on. And then he will cut out those small sheets and walk out on the plant floor and gave each department that sheet of paper. And with that, so the work orders and everything else that was generated, the drawings, all the details about that particular project was also printed. So if, let's say, we're doing a job for Capital One, they have 50 signs, we would have to print a package for each department with those 50 drawings and designs and everything else along with it, and each department would get those packages as well. And so very labor-intensive manual process, and if something changed on the drawings, guess what happens? They get reprinted again. Or if they didn't get reprinted, then we will have a wrong sign produced at the end of the day. And so, yeah, really, really crazy process, and that ran the company for last 18 years. So they were doing some things right in there, but it was a lot of labor-intensive work that I would say that production manager was doing, you know, coming in at 3 a.m. in the morning and leaving at 6 p.m. So, you know, some of the things Interneer kind of helped us through with the implementation was having that real-time visibility into our environment. So, at any given time, when we put in a project into the Interneer system, now we know that a particular job is in so-and-so department. I mean, we had no idea before how things were happening. They were just happening. You know, if I needed to find out where is this job, I would have to literally walk out on the floor and find, okay, this is Capital One. Okay, what part of it, Capital One, are you working on? Are you working on the channel letter? Are you working on this sign? And it was just total chaos. We did a Capital One job without the system, and we did a Capital One job with the system in place. It was day and night how we were able to really produce about 200 signs in a matter of 6 weeks. Before, when we first got that project, it took us 4 months to produce that same number of signs. So that's just for us. I mean, we didn't have to do any calculations on ROI. I mean, the answer was right there in front of us. So that was the 24/7 access. I mean, you know, we have people working nighttime, daytime, and so people on the field were eventually able to gain access to the Safari browser as well. The access to electronic production records. I mean, that was huge, right? I mean, so we're not printing anymore. What we are doing is just uploading all those documents into the system. Now we're not doing version control or anything like that on the Interneer side, but we have a process in place on our side internally, so that we're making sure that only the production drawings are getting updated. We're signing all our documents electronically with a timestamp on those drawings through Acrobat PDF, and that's how we're managing the version control and the credibility of the documents there. And so I think on that end, you know, we do print studies all the time. So on that end, our Interneer system is paid for by reducing our printing costs. So we're not, you know, we're probably even off right now. What we pay for Interneer, we're saving directly out of not printing those documents. So that's a free system in place now. We've already recovered the cost on the Capital One project that we invested in the initial development. So we're running this free platform here because of this system here. Then the department scheduling sequence and current job status for all projects. So it was interesting. Our production manager, when he got a project, and it was all manual in his head. I mean, so here's a channel letter job, but this is a little different. So it's going to go into this department first, and then you're going to do it second, and then you're going to do it third. And every sign was different. I mean, it was custom manufacturing, so not every channel letter would even follow that same path. It would be, you know, you do this first, you do this first. And so that was something that we didn't want him to change his ways. We were like, okay, we'll build the system around you. And so we came up with the sequencing method where when he's scheduling these different departments, he's also able to put in numbers. So this particular department is going to be number 1 in the process of that workflow. And then, you know, and he can change that on the fly. Every time he builds a schedule, he can go ahead and put those numbers in place, and that generates a whole new work order or workflow for our projects. And again, that was something that probably was the success feature of this project, is because we didn't ask him to change anything, and he was gung-ho about it, where he can sit there and really schedule jobs in advance and not have to come at 6 a.m. in the morning. Or 3 a.m. Actually, I just keep on saying 6 because I get in there at that time. He comes in at 3. He's not there at 3 anymore, so which is an exciting factor. job entry dates, client request date, completion dates, committed dates. I mean, all information that initially mentioned was having that information with you at all times, being able to make the decisions on the fly on the plant floor was really important, and that kind of helped us jumpstart the project. Central job notes and logs, calendarized installation schedule. So our installation schedule was managed in Excel, which it still is, but there's an interesting story behind that. But you know, simple stuff. I mean, we have 10 trucks, 10 crane trucks, and he's just managing, okay, this crane truck is going to go install this location, you're going to go do this, and he was just really easily able to copy and paste. Things change on that schedule every day, every minute of the day, and so, you know, what he loved about Excel was he didn't have to type it anywhere. He just copies that cell and pastes it into another cell, and he really liked that too. We took it away from him for a while, and you know, tried to do it another way. It didn't work. So we went back to Excel, and I'm going to share that with you a little bit later as well. Automated email notifications. So Salesforce, I mean, salespeople are always coming down to his office complaining, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, and all along they were the problem right there because they didn't submit the right colors, they didn't submit the right information, they didn't get the right client approvals. And so, you know, with notifications now, it's all logged, it's all documented. They can't come and complain unless they look, you know, look and do their job on their end. So that was pretty huge, getting those email notifications out to people. So, you know, we talked about real-time paperless access to all job information located on. All right, so what we did was, how are people going to access this information, right? I mean, some of these departments, some people had experience with computers because they were managing equipment that required using a computer. But some departments, what we had was a welder who could weld really well, but he couldn't hold a mouse in his hand. And so the challenge was, how do we get these people accustomed to using these computers? And really, that was the success factor in this project. If it doesn't get used, it's another system, another failed system, because we've had a few of those as well. So we definitely learned from experience in that regards. So what we did was we implemented these, you know, really tough digital signage screens, so aluminum casing on the plant floor for the screens, 42-inch large screens with built-in computers within the screen. So I certainly didn't want to put a computer on the plant floor because I've had bad experience with that, but nothing. And so I was like, you know what, if there's going to be a computer on the floor, it has to be all in one, and all the only thing that the plant user will have to do is just turn on one button, and then his application is right in front of him. And so that was the goal, to minimize, hey, the computer doesn't work, I'm not going to do it. We've had that in the past. So we kind of, you know, cover that challenge by putting up these digital signage screens up there. Job sequencing, we kind of talked about that. Job reporting, status reporting, and active status. This was really important. The statuses, I mean, you know, now the clients are getting statuses on the progress of their jobs, which is huge. I mean, if we're doing a large projects, we don't want clients calling us all day long, hey, where's my job? What process? I mean, if there's a Capital One job that might involve, you know, 50 signs that we have to complete in a certain number of times. In fact, another good example would be, we did the Circuits of America racetrack up in Austin, which was just a very recent project we completed, and again, record number of days we had to complete that in. You know, they only give you 2 months where you can come in and install 400 signs, and some of these signs are, you know, 50, 80 feet tall up in the air, and so that was a tall order. But again, we certainly didn't want the clients breathing up on us while we try to do all that, and so we set up our clients on the reporting side as well, so they were getting status notifications every time a sign was produced and every time it was installed. And so they had the peace of mind that, hey, you know what, things are moving along and these guys will meet the job. Believe it or not, we were on the track the day before the race started. I mean, so the major event was the next day, and we were still out there till 2 a.m. in the morning. And like most of their vendors, I mean, subcontractors were all there trying to finish it up. Right now we have another project for Houston Astros. They're changed their logo, and so we're going in there rebranding the whole stadium. And that's a nightmare. The project deadline is 23rd, before their first season game, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but yeah, we'll make it happen. And you know, all thanks to this system where, you know, we have the ability to do that now, at least from a procedural standpoint, We'll still have to weld the signs. The system doesn't do that. Uh, Task assignments and queue by department and by individual employees. So this was, again, there was a lot of blame game going on within the departments when, pushed a large project. Hey, you know what, this guy didn't do the paint, so I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And so now we know who did what and when, because every time the way we designed the sequencing, and then another thing we implemented was priority tables. So not only a person is able to see their tasks, they're able to see, okay, these are my priority tasks, so I have 4 days to complete that, and we have a counter which counts down. And so they know I've got 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and once that hits 1, it goes into 0 and negative, and now they know that they don't want a negative in there, so they're going to try to complete that particular task, which is in their priority, within that time frame, and as soon as they complete their priority, it goes into the next person's priority list. And so now they know, okay, I have 50 tasks, but this is what I need to be working on, this is due, and so days. And so that really helped us kind of eliminate that whole blame game from the environment. I mean, I rarely hear any issues where you didn't do this, and that's all just gone from the organization within the last 2 years. It doesn't happen anymore. Departmental status flagging and notation. So one of the issues was also, hey, you know what, I wasn't able to do this because I didn't have the parts. Okay, well now you know that you have all these different tasks that you have to do in next month. We might not even have certain parts in place or certain procedures in place for doing some of those things, but at least you have the ability to go down that list and select and see all those projects and say, you know what, I don't have this part, I'm going to raise a flag. And so now the purchasing manager or different departments knows that, hey, you know what, these jobs have different flags. What's the problem? What do we need to do to address those? So now they're more efficient, where there's no idle time anymore. Before, if they didn't have anything, they'll just sit down or chit chat or whatever not. And now they have to go through that list, make sure everything that's coming down the pipeline, they have stuff ready for that. And so that eliminated that issue. All right. So now we solved all the production problems, right? Now, if you ask my production manager, he's still got millions of issues that needs to be resolved. But we felt so comfortable with the whole approach on the production side that we started bringing in our salespeople into the fold as well, and develop these smaller applications for our service department, where all our service calls were coming in. We did a logging system for that, notes and whatnot, all that, everything that you would need to know for running a service department, and did a separate application for that. That changed the whole service department. I mean, just looking at this environment for the last 8 years and seeing what we've done in 2 years, it's just changed. I can pat myself on the back, although it should be Romeo really that kind of enabled us to do all this stuff. Invoicing, as soon as a job is complete, sends an email to the accounting department. Hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and bill it. That's the most important task. And so that whole thing is really interesting. Estimating, design, and permitting. So these are internal tasks that salespeople have to do. Hey, I need an estimate. I need a drawing to present to a client. And again, that was a pretty manual process where, they would go in and fill out a, information sheet and, a log basically for the design department. Hey, you know what? Here's a piece of napkin that the clients drew their, design on, which we still have to carry in there because it's the idea, right? So we still carry that in there, but that request, when did you submit it and when do you need it back? We didn't have, it was on paper, so if you really needed that information, you'll have to go in and search for it. Now, it's all automated through the system. So they go in and log in that request. The design department gets it. The design department will then say, okay, well, I've got 4 designers that are working on this and this. Maybe this guy will be able to work on it. And so they're able to distribute that between the departments. But more than that, they're also able to see this designer was able to complete this design in this amount of time. And so now we have real-time data that we can use to gauge our design department against all that information, which we had no clue what we were doing before. They've been very efficient, so I wouldn't go after them a lot, but we certainly do have a lot of information, good information to improve that process. Same thing with estimating and permitting, exact same. All I had to do was just really copy that same template and paste it again and change the names in there. And now I had a system that was doing same thing for permitting and estimating department. So implementation-wise, there you go. Just copy and paste, and you've got a whole new application that you can use in that regards. I don't know if you can see these pictures clearly or not, but I talked about Excel sheets and the installation calendar. So what we did was, when we wanted to convert and bring that Excel sheet into the environment, we kind of developed this complex system where he'll have to select the job and select different statuses. It wasn't working out. I mean, we tried it for a while. We gave it our sincere thought. We actually spent time developing that. It wasn't a copy and paste effort. We put some thought behind it, which we thought would work, but it didn't. So really, we went back to Excel, and then all you see is a view of that Excel sheet. And so what we do is just save that Excel sheet as a web document, and it's sitting in the Dropbox. And so all there is a link to a Dropbox Excel sheet, which is working within our Interneer platform. And really easy fix. I wish we would have thought about that first. And really solve the problem. I mean, now all the updated information, the production manager doesn't have to change anything at all. I mean, he loves it. He goes back to his Excel sheets, copies and pastes, saves, and then that information is updated directly onto the system for everyone to view. This is just a picture of one of the screens on our floor. The top part is that priority section I talked about. Not a pretty clear picture, but so this is what they need to be doing, and then the second one is pretty long list where they have to kind of go through the whole deal. This is another view of our fabrication department, and so we have two screens here because one, we have all the jobs that have been assigned to the production department. And then these are individual fabricators. I'm sorry, the fabrication department, everything that they're supposed to do. And then this one is each individual fabricator. And so it further goes down, and the production department manager or the fabrication department manager will go in and assign each individual fabricators to that. And so, excuse me?
I mean, if you're displaying that, how do you stay logged in? Because once time's out, I mean, say somebody's, how do you display that? Like,
it stays logged in. Yeah. They're using it, and we've asked them to increase our timeouts. Yeah, session timeouts. Yes.
Okay, so how long? 24 hours or something?
No, it's not 24 hours. They're using it on daily basis, and then I've saved the passwords on these applications. So even if it does expire, all they have to just click on it again, and it launches again. So if they don't use the station for an hour and then come back to it, if it did expire, all they have to just launch it again. But it rarely ever expires because they're always constantly going back and forth to it as well.
And then earlier, I think you had mentioned about like the refresh.
Yes, that's going to be on on another screen where I'll talk about. There is a. So let's talk about this a little bit. So fabricators, I mean, the reason we have two screens here is that fabricators will come up and they're actually designing and welding something. So they sometimes would need to look at the drawing in detail, or they might need a paper copy. So what we did was before, okay, so I don't have a drawing or updated drawing, or this drawing that I have is incorrect. So it's a whole process goes into the production manager's office. I don't have this. He calls the sales admin, hey, you know what, I need an updated drawing. They go into the design department, hey, you know what, give me the latest production drawing. So that whole process, right? Now that updated production drawing is right there in the system, and all they have to just hit print, and there's that printer right there. So that whole process is just eliminated, and they're able to just print their drawings on demand pretty easily. And man, that was a time saver as well. So if you look at that same screen here, what we did was where you see icons in your application, we actually put pictures of each installers and each designer and everyone in that department. And that kind of really helps a new manager or a new employee to really track down people. And okay, this is the person that's working on that. And that kind of really helped us with that as well from a communication point of view. This is a view in our design department. And so this is a designer working on his, and they will log into their application locally as well on their computer as they're doing doing their tasks, but that's mainly for salespeople. When they walk in, barging in, you know what, I need this today, I need this, you know, tomorrow, I need to present it. Now they can actually see, you know what, this guy's actually busy. He's got a bunch of work in front of him, so I can't just go in and, you know, demand stuff. And so it's mainly for salespeople to say, you know what, sign in and go out of here. And that has reduced trips to the design department. The salespeople just love to go in there and chit chat and, you know, hey, you know what, can you get me up on that list? But it's all logged, so I mean, you know, if it needs to be done, it will be done. But here's a view of that Excel sheet that I was talking about. Now I'm not even logged into Interneer on this particular station. This is for our installers when they come in the morning. They'll go through, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and we're still, by the way, printing work orders for them. We've given everyone an iPhone now, so everyone has an iPhone. Our goal is to, you know, with the improvements in the, well, initially my goal was, hey, you know what, we can log in on a Safari browser, so let's log you in. That is not going to work as well because, you know, they'll have to upload pictures and all those different things. But that native app, I'm really excited about that. I mean, you know, I can just transform that whole department with this application. But here I'd like to talk about, so basically, you know, this browser, as things are changing, I've got a small plugin on Chrome. You can have one for Internet Explorer, which does a refresh, which refreshes the screen every 30 seconds. You can set the times, how often you want it to refresh. And that takes care of, even on the Interneer side, on the design department screen. So this screen right here, they don't interact with it as much. So this is just refreshing every 30 seconds, every minute. Be careful when you do that because when we put 4 screens outside our CEO's office and we were displaying all these different matrices on there, and all those screens were refreshing every 30 seconds or whatnot, and that caused an issue for Romeo on the back end because we were doing this so often. And don't ask me how I got 4 Interneer you know, logins to work on one computer. Yeah, these were all individual users that are logged into individual browsers. But at that point, we did discuss a solution with him where the whole page is not refreshing, but maybe a section or a frame within that page refreshes automatically. We never took that route, but yeah, they were certainly able to work out a solution that would work for us in that environment. So hopefully I'm hoping someone else will need it and then he'll go ahead and push it down. So we won't have to pay for it. So that's just a Dropbox screen. Here's a drawing of Houston Astros project. You can see that, you know, this is a full-blown drawing. It's got a signature on there, date and time. So everything is, you know, up to the minute in the system. We're not printing anything at all unless it's really needed. And here's the production manager's computer. He's off. You know what? Guess what? He was never off for the last 6 years I was there, but now 2 years, he can actually take off. He's been gone for weeks, and we're still working and operational. But you know, here I added that third screen. This is your Interneer screen, and he's got his Excel sheet open on one. He's got that main screen open where he's scheduling people all day long, and it just, I mean, he's excited from where we were in the last 2 years, where we've come, and so he's real excited about it. And that's it. Questions?
So I get the idea. Excuse me, the monitors and screens up. That's awesome. But I guess I'm confused. Who actually updates that information? Can anybody just walk up and update information on their project, or do you have?
So each department is logging in as their own department.
Okay.
And so if I am a fabricator, I go in and I've been assigned a particular task. And so I can only see that task. I cannot see anyone else's task. So I'll go in, work on my task. At the end of the task, I'll go in and hit check mark. And then there's a whole quality check sheet that they have to go through as well. So did you do this? Yes. Did you do this? No. So they go through that process and then finally hit the complete button. And that updates the information. So they are interacting with it, yes. Okay. So now let me tell you the secret behind how all this is working, right? For the first year when we had the system, we had a weekly meeting with all the department managers from the floor up in the office, and we passed around a wireless keyboard. Okay, now your turn. Log into your department and show what you are, where you are, what are the problems. So we kind of sat with them every week for 1 year to make sure that there wasn't, so now it's ingrained in their brain. Now they can't really think outside that anymore. And I think that was probably the, one strategy that really worked in implementation and changing the culture of the company. But again, the whole focus was communication. And so if we weren't doing our part in communicating what the vision of the company was initially, this whole thing would have failed just like many other projects. So, any other questions? No, either I did really good or I sucked. So, but, thanks a lot for hearing me out. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.